We're all desperate to get our lives back together, and we need to rebuild.
Malibu holding a town hall meeting tonight to discuss recovery and rebuilding following the Palisades fire. We will hear some of those plans.
I would say emotions were mixed. There were some that were obviously relieved that they were able to get a permit to go back to their residence. There's some anxiety because for some of them, was the first time that they were going to see their homes.
Long line today of people from the Pacific Palisades going back home for the first time in nearly 3 weeks.
Welcome, everyone, to the Fox 11 News at 10 o'clock. I'm Marla Tejas here for Alex Michelson.
And I'm Christine Devine. The final evacuation orders for the Palisades fire have been lifted, allowing residents to return to the area.
But how many of them are coming back, and what are they facing as they return? Fox 11's Chelsea Edwards, she's live with that story tonight. Chelsea?
Well, Marla, Christine, it's been quite the process, and so many people were trying to get their access passes to return today that some actually had to be turned away at the access point on PCH. Today, they'll have to return tomorrow. Now, the curfew is now in effect here in the Pacific Palisades from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. People really seem to be heeding it. All of these streets are deserted. It's the first night all Pacific Palisades residents have been allowed back to their homes, or what's left of them. But once the sun set, the disaster zone became a dark ghost town. All remaining evacuation orders were lifted at noon, and hundreds waited for hours along PCH to pick up their access passes. Orange for residents, blue for contractors.
Many of them, this is the first time that they're going to see their homes.
That was the case for the Williams family, frustrated at the pace of the whole process.
We can't move forward until our properties are cleaned.
I would say emotions were mixed. There were some that were obviously relieved that they were able to get a permit to go back to their residence. There's some anxiety.
LAPD Lieutenant Jimmy Koo says about 500 cars passed through parking lot 3 on Monday. Anyone waiting after 5 p.m. was told to return Tuesday. Meanwhile, the EPA is starting the massive task of removing toxic debris. LA Mayor Karen Bass is urging returning residents to be patient, though everyone is eager to move forward.
It's open now for people to come see, but not really to spend a lot of time. And we ask that people be careful because of the compromise to health.
Curfew once again went into effect at 6 p.m. And without power or streetlights, residents didn't need to be persuaded to leave. Though the evacuation orders are now lifted, the long rebuilding process is just beginning. Yeah, so the timeline for the debris removal phase is more of a range. City officials are saying it's going to take anywhere from a few weeks to up to 4 months. And again, that is just the very first step. So it's safe to say that these residents have a very long road ahead of them. Marla, Christine.
Pretty eye-opening there, Chelsea. Thanks so much. New at 10, while the city of Malibu and its federal, state, and county partners continue to respond to the Palisades fire, city officials hold a town hall meeting tonight to talk about recovery and rebuilding. Let's go to Malibu, where Fox 11's Ed Lascos has more tonight for us. Ed?
And Marla, everybody here tonight talking about rebuilding, but there's growing concern on a couple of big issues. First, how long is it going to take? Some fearing it's going to take much longer than they're being told at this point. And the other big problem, maybe the first big problem they've got to overcome, removing all that debris, hazardous material. Where do you take that? No wonder it's already bringing controversy and desperation. Watch.
We're all desperate to get our lives back together, and we need to rebuild as if the life of our community depends on it, because it does.
Desperation in Malibu to move faster on rebuilding. Almost 3 weeks now since the deadly Palisades fire, and almost 2 months now since the Franklin fire, both blasting through Malibu, leaving nothing but debris in the fire's destructive paths.
Any timeline for the EPA when they're getting to the different neighborhoods? How many can they do in a day?
We got a president that wants to kick butt. He says, start tomorrow.
Debris removal, a growing concern here, but for another fire, the Eaton Fire, debris removal here, already a growing controversy.
There's a lot of debris, there's a lot of toxins. To come on over here 15 miles away and we were not even being notified, that's quite shocking for us.
It's the fallout from the clear out of all the debris. The feds already setting up here, Laurel Park and Duarte, soon to be turned into a major processing point for all the debris taken out of the Eaton fire zone. And it's not just debris, some worry, but hazardous Debris.
Computers, things of that nature, stuff that you'd have underneath your sink, hazardous materials, as well as lithium batteries.
About 500 yards of a residential community with kids and children, and for them to set this up overnight without no notification is just very alarming.
That is fire victims like the ones here in Malibu grow more desperate. They want a plan of action.
You have a chance to change everything up, to make it easier on people, to make it better. You have a real chance to do this.
Now live, they do have a real chance to do this. As he was saying, they're still trying to finalize the plans here. As for the L'Oreal Park location, the feds, the EPA out promising everybody they're going to monitor the groundwater supply. They're going to monitor air quality samples, trying to calm everybody down. They expect to start bringing the removal in to that location first thing next week. For now, we are live. Malibu, back to the west side we go.
All right, thank you. New video sparking allegations. SoCal Edison's equipment ignited the deadly Eaton Fire. This video behind me here isn't the only proof local attorneys say they have. Fox 11's Haley Winslow breaks down the new evidence being used against the utility company.
With experience litigating similar catastrophic wildfires that they say are to blame on utility companies, they compare the Eaton Fire to Groundhog Day, doing the same thing, expecting different results.
I am sickened.
It's the voice for thousands who lost everything. LA Fire Justice, led by two tenacious attorneys and legendary consumer advocate Erin Brockovich.
I don't know if you've all been out to Altadena or down to Malibu or Palisades, but it is mind-boggling. I spent the first day out there crying.
With decades of experience litigating dozens of wildfires, they say their experts used cutting-edge technology, including photogrammetry, a technique that uses photos to create 3D models, to reenact the Eaton Fire, zero in on its ignition source, and conclude the cause is clear. They say the Eaton Fire started from SoCal Edison's faulty transformer tower, specifically Tower Number 3.
A fault on transmission line number 3 is the location of the ignition of the Eaton Fire. This is my 22nd wildfire. I've represented 21,000 fire survivors in 6 different states. This is the clearest evidence that I've ever seen of utilities equipment being the start of a fire.
With plenty of warning with the Santa Ana winds, trial attorney Michael Watts says SoCal Edison should have better prepared with a proper public safety power shutoff, or PSPS.
We would just say, why don't you shut the power off? Oh, the customers get upset because the ham goes bad. Well, the clients that I talk to says, I'd rather lose the ham than lose the house. And so they could have done that. They did a partial PSPS. They just didn't do it on the side towards Altadena. So we'll have some questions about that.
Southern California Edison's response?
So the video that we obtained from the New York Times on Saturday night needs more careful analysis. And it is very premature, I should say it is premature to comment or speculate on what that footage means without more careful analysis.
Brockovich says the Eaton wildfire devastation was preventable, and SoCal Edison should know better.
This is utilities' antiquated, failed infrastructure. Everybody in California, including the utilities, you know about the Santa Ana winds. This didn't have to happen.
Videos from the public have been paramount in cross-referencing and backing up their conclusions. If you have a video, they'd like you to submit it on their website, lafirejustice.com. And they're holding 2 town hall meetings open to the public about insurance and rebuilding. Those will be held on February 7th and the 8th. Reporting in Pasadena, I'm Haley Winslow, Fox 11 News.
On to this now. After the rain comes, well, this. Mud and debris temporarily shut down Topanga Canyon Boulevard on the Pacific Coast Highway, and not too far away, Palisades Drive and Santa Ynez Road. This is video from Skyfox. Heavy rains and recent wildfire damage, increasing the risk in this area. Drivers are urged to check road conditions before traveling. All right, let's get a look at the forecast now with what we can expect. Here's Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger.
Yeah, and we knew going into this rainy event, it would be nearly impossible to come out of it without a mudslide somewhere, just considering how much burn scar area we have. I will say, though, the rain, it was obviously much needed and at least was spread out over a pretty good amount of time. So if you were going to draw it up anyway, we turned out all right here. It's not like we had too much in a short amount of time. Now, that storm system causing all the rain and mountain snow, it's continuing east away from us, and mostly dry weather settles in, although maybe there's a couple of showers in a few spots as we head into tomorrow. I'll outline that a little bit later on. But as we look at where we saw rain, I mean, this is amazing. 100% coverage. Anywhere there's blue, that was widespread, about a quarter inch to up to an inch. And then areas where you see green, that's where there was the radar estimating even more than an inch of rain. I saw some rain totals that got up around 1.5 or so, even a little bit above that. So we had the healthy downpours like we needed. That's moving out now. We've got some cold temperatures, though, including tonight where a frost advisory is in effect for the valleys up north of L.A. along the 101, 118, 126, for example. Those valley areas expecting to see some frost where temperatures could fall as low as 32 to 35 degrees. And then tomorrow we've got cool temperatures, overall quiet weather. Most highs will be upper 50s to low 60s for the coast, L.A., Inland Orange County, valleys and Inland Empire. And the high deserts in the 50s tomorrow, 60s for the low deserts. But it's these spots, low deserts, where there might be a little bit of rain. And in the mountains, there could be just a little bit more of light snow. Nothing heavy like we had where some spots got more than a foot over the last 2 days or so. So we'll talk more about that forecast, and we'll look a little later into the week with warmer temperatures on the way coming up a bit later on. Christine?